Hot News Update Coronavirus on May 11, 2020. Note, this is a collaborative video made between Travel for All Fanpage and Knowledge of Coronavirus channel. This video is copyrighted by Travel for All Fanpage and Knowledge of Coronavirus channel. Please respectfully welcome everyone. The following is the remarkable news most on May 11 as follows. 1. U.S. News. The model from the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation at Washington University now predicts more than 137,000 Americans will die in early August. The reasons given are largely due to the greater movement of Americans. On the other hand, such an upward trend that started before loosening measures were applied in many states because the U.S. is still not true control over COVID-19. This leading model has increased the forecast of coronavirus deaths in the United States once again as governors continue to take steps to reopen. This is really a problem in America. So far, 3 top U.S. health officials have been quarantining themselves after 2 White House employees became infected. However, Vice President Mike Pence will appear to work today, although his press secretary is one of those who have tested it positively. 2. World Update. The numbers, more than 4.1 million cases of COVID-19 have been recorded worldwide, including at least 282,000 deaths. Updated 9:44 a.m. ET, May 11, 2020. Renewed fears of second wave. New clusters in South Korea, Germany and China show the continued risk of reopening, even in countries that are seen to have managed their outbreaks well. Thus, the world's general news shows that nearly 4.2 million people were infected. Russia became the 3rd largest epidemic region in the world. The good news is that the cool-down epidemic trend continues in most countries around the world, both in terms of deaths and new positives for COVID-19. Within 24 hours of the morning of November 11 of May according to Vietnam time, only 4 countries recorded the number of deaths at over 200 people/day, including USA 695, Brazil 467, Ecuador 410, and the United Kingdom 268. The worrying news is that nearly 60,000 people are infected with COVID-19 in Southeast Asia. 3. UK News. Confusion in the UK. Boris Johnson's speech about how to gradually reopen the country was criticized as vague and incomplete by labour unions and the opposition. The London subway operator asks travellers to use a towel to cover your face. Travelling outside rush hour. Wash your hands before and after travelling. This is part of a series of safety measures that coincide with the government's roadmap to reduce lockout restrictions. British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab said on May 11 that retailers of non-essential products have not been allowed to operate again, at least until June. Meanwhile, other industries can only resume operations as early as July. 4. Spain News. Spain reported 123 coronavirus deaths in the latest 24-hour period on Monday, the lowest number since March 19, Spanish Ministry of Health data shows. At 0.7%, it was the lowest daily increase in death for 7 weeks, bringing the total number of deaths to 26,744 since the beginning of the pandemic, according to ministry data. The increase in new infections since Sunday was 373, bringing the cumulative number confirmed by PCR, polymerase chain reaction, tests to 227,436. That is, Spain records lowest coronavirus death numbers in more than 7 weeks. 5. France News. France is slowly reopening today after almost 2 months of strict lockdown throughout the country. Most shops will reopen Monday as planned, in what Prime Minister Edouard Philippe previously said would be a very gradual process. Some areas will face stricter measures than others, with Philippe saying the country would be divided in 2. France will be split into red and green zones, with lockdown measures stricter in red areas. Primary school students across the whole country will return to school on Monday, with classes limited to 15 students. The French government has warned that strict restrictions could be reinstated if people do not respect social distancing rules. 6. News of Russia. Russia ranks 3rd in the world in terms of COVID-19 infections over the past 24 hours. Russia has recorded an additional 11,656 cases of COVID-19. This is the third day in a row that an increase of more than 11,000 cases a day. Thus, up to now, there have been 221,344 people with COVID-19 in Russia, including 2,009 deaths. Russia has overtaken Britain and Italy, occupying the third position in the world in the number of cases. According to the representative of the World Health Organization in Russia, based on the increase in infection rates in recent days, the country has reached the peak of the epidemic. Although cases have been recorded, the increase has been steady. 7. Canadian news. The number of deaths due to COVID-19 in Canada exceeded 4,700 according to Health Canada data. The total number of deaths from COVID-19 in the country increased 2.2% to 4,728 on May 10, one of the lowest daily increases since the outbreak. The total number of new infections in Canada is currently 67,996 people. 8. Korean news. Korea worried about an outbreak in Seoul. South Korean officials on May 11 urgently implemented measures to prevent the disease in the context of a new wave of outbreaks in a densely populated area in Seoul. By midnight on May 10, South Korea recorded 35 new cases of corona infection nationwide. This is the second consecutive day that the number of COVID-19 cases has increased at such a high level, which is also the highest level in more than a month. Most new cases have been linked to the outbreak in many nightclubs and bars in Seoul. The government has tested 4,000 people who have visited these venues but are still tracking about 3,000 others. 9. Singapore news. The Ministry of Health of Singapore on 11/5 recorded an additional 486 COVID-19 cases, bringing the total number of cases here to 23,822. The agency said it was the lowest increase in the past 1 week in Singapore, possibly due to limited testing because a laboratory here had to recalibrate after giving 33 positive results fake. 10. Ghana news. The case of COVID-19 infection for 533 people in Ghana on May 10, a televised speech. Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo said a worker at a fish processing factory in the coastal city of Tema became infected with COVID-19 and infected 533 other workers at home. This machine. Mr. Akufo-Addo said that 533 cases positive for COVID-19 accounted for 11.3% of all COVID-19 cases in the country. These new positive cases brought the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country to 4,700 cases by night of May 10 and became the country with the highest number of COVID-19 infections in West Africa. There were 22 people killed by COVID-19, while 494 people recovered. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of Coronavirus Channel and Travel for All Fantage respectfully, and see you in the next video. However, red eyes may be another sign of COVID-19 disease, enough to call a doctor if accompanied by some other symptoms such as fever, cough or shortness of breath. 8. Loss of taste and smell. In mild to moderate COVID-19 infections, loss of smell and taste is one of the most unusual early signs. According to T.S. Sanjay Gupta, these early signs are not classic symptoms. Loss of appetite is sometimes uncertain, but clearly this is a sign not to be missed. Complete or partial odor loss, anosmia, was also detected in SARS cough, 2 positive patients without other symptoms. 9. Fatigue. For some people, fatigue, exhaustion and body aches may be an early sign of COVID-19 infection. WHO research shows that about 40% of nearly 6,000 people who experience the disease experience fatigue. The state of fatigue can continue after the virus has disappeared. Reports of the recovery phase of patients with COVID-19 show that exhaustion and lack of energy will continue to accompany the patient for a few weeks at the recovery stage. 10. Headache, sore throat, stuffy nose. According to the WHO report, about 14% of the nearly 6,000 cases of COVID-19 in China showed headaches and sore throat, while nearly 5% had nasal congestion. This is not the most common sign of the disease, but it is obviously like a cold and flu. In fact, many of the symptoms of COVID-19 resemble flu, such as headaches, digestive problems, body aches and fatigue. Other symptoms can be like a cold or allergy, like a sore throat and stuffy nose, including a cough and fever. According to a warning from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, one or all of the symptoms can appear anytime between 2 and 14 days after accidental exposure to the coronavirus. New strain SARS-CoV-2. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of coronavirus, channel and travel for all fantas respectfully, and see you in the next video.